Hey there guys, Sandro here, and before we begin, I just want to say a huge thanks and shoutouts to all the viewers, commenters, and subs that have come from the previous breakdowns and gameplay videos. I really appreciate it guys, and we'll be sure to keep making Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker videos in the future. Speaking of which, we've got a brand new series here where I'll be breaking down each playable main character from the recent open beta. So that's Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Yamato, and Kakashi. Anyway, let's start with the main man himself, Naruto Uzumaki. So, to begin with, Naruto's taijutsu is above average, much like most attack types taijutsu. The ability to either launch, extend combos on the ground, or potentially shield break are all viable options thanks to Naruto's diverse combo strings. Not only that, but his combos are relatively short, meaning that damage is front loaded and your opponent won't have much time to either substitute out or call for his allies. Kakashi is a perfect example of an attack type with long-lasting combos, and we'll eventually see how that works in a future video. Still, Naruto's taijutsu has its flaws, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a clip in this video that highlights what I mean, but for now I'll just say that he suffers from the same syndrome that Vegeta has in Dragon Ball FighterZ, namely short limb syndrome. This basically means that in the clutch, Naruto's short arms will end up getting him caught in a combo rather than the other way around. That being said, if you do manage to get behind an enemy without his substitution jutsu, the damage potential is very, very high. Having good up-close options as well as a hard knockdown jutsu in Rasengan allows Naruto to excel in a variety of different situations. Speaking of which, let's take a closer look at his jutsu in action. So in this clip, which is kinda hectic, we can see the absolute monster of a hitbox on his Rasengan. The blue lines indicate initial trajectory, the green sphere is where Naruto will magnetize to you, and the red sphere is the hitbox. Up ahead we've got yet another cool feature to Naruto's jutsu, in that the Rasen Shuriken acts as a shield of sorts while Naruto holds it above his head. Not the biggest thing, but a cool little defensive option nonetheless. While we're talking about defensive options, here's another crazy hitbox on one of Sakura's taijutsu combos. We'll get to that in Sakura's own video, but for now, this is the clip I mentioned before where Naruto's short limbs cost me my life. As you can see, this Shinobi right here is not particularly impressed, and I don't blame him. Anyway, the next clip shows Naruto's versatility in action, going from long distance to close range in an instant. Thankfully, my team was also on the ball and coordinated well together. For now though, I ended up getting into a Rasengan clash with this enemy attack type. I always wondered how the game would handle this, and it just appears to dole out minuscule damage to everyone involved, alongside a massive knockback. But yeah, again we're going from long to close range, so whipping out a Rasen Shuriken is always recommended. Here is where Naruto excels, cornering an opponent with his taijutsu combos while your ally covers the escape attempts. Also, using Rasengan in a downward trajectory is extra useful since the speed is slightly increased due to gravity, so that's something to keep in mind with all jutsu in the game, not just the attack type. Still in the same match, me and my team show off what coordination looks like. Back-to-back team combos. First taijutsu, then ninjutsu. Having an attack up scroll definitely helped here, and we were able to basically touch of death this enemy player. When you see that red outline, make sure you play cautiously, or you'll end up roasted. Speaking of roasts, the same Sakura player got caught again by our team. In this clip we'll see that Sakura's Cherry Blossom Clash is actually hard countered by Naruto's Rasengan, since basically her hyper armor will absorb every rotation without knocking her to safety. Again, we've got another clip dedicated to the tracking on this jutsu. Even when the enemy manages to substitute out, the Rasengan redirects itself to catch them. The downfall of this otherwise excellent jutsu is its startup time. It takes slightly longer compared to the Raikiri or Chidori jutsu, and that difference can mean your life when someone air dashes towards you, for example. Now most jutsu have good tracking in this game, but combine that with the magnetic properties of Rasengan, basically sucking itself into you, and you've got a very powerful close range technique. I personally just block whenever I hear that iconic wind swirl. It's better to stand still for a few seconds than to get caught out. If you don't block, you'll end up getting negative edged over a pit. Now that term basically just means that an enemy's attack knocks you in the direction that it came from, rather than the direction that it was going. It's a very useful property to keep in mind, although the Rasengan isn't the only jutsu that does this. Something that not all jutsu can do, however, is horizontal movement. The Rasengan isn't as good as Chidori or Aikiri for this, but it still gets the job done, letting you sneak around enemy teams faster than they can react. And last but not least, this clip shows the Odama Rasengan, or Giant Rasengan in English. It basically works as you'd expect, big damage in a big area. However, there's a huge dead zone right in front of the user. Now, this basically lets enemies completely bypass your ultimate jutsu, and will almost always cost you your life when it happens. Personally, I would much rather use the 8 Gates ultimate jutsu, but that's besides the point. Anyways, this is going to be it for today's breakdown. Naruto is definitely a good character, although some issues with his ultimate prevent him from being top tier in my opinion. Still, he's about as solid as a main character can get. Think Ryu from Street Fighter, and you'll be spot on. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and comment telling me what you guys thought, and what characters you'd like to see next. That's going to be it for me guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.